today is May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. And do you think there's carrots ready yet? Do you think we'd have carrots on the farm? Check this out. These are hanging pots. These are pots of carrots. So in this pot, there's roughly 18 carrots. These carrots are ready to eat. They're actually true baby carrots. This one's a little bit funny. It decided to grow an extra leg. It's a walking carrot. So do you guys know where the seeds for carrots come from? Do you think they come from the carrot? Or do you think there's something else? So when a carrot gets old enough, when it gets a nice big carrot underneath, eventually it starts to grow a flower out of the top, and that flower will produce a seed. Once a bee comes by and pollinates the flower, it turns into a seed. So when we plant carrots, we actually plant them from little tiny seeds in the soil. So we plant the seed, it starts to grow a plant. Next thing you know, the carrot forms underneath in the ground. When the carrot gets really big, it produces a flower, and that's where the seed comes from. So that's the life cycle of a carrot. So these tomatoes were planted from a seed in February. The seed grew up, and in, let's see, probably the middle of March, we planted them in the pots in the greenhouse. So the seed sprouted, got to a certain size, and then we planted it in these big pots down here. So this has been growing since March in the greenhouse. You can see how much this plant has grown. I'm 6 feet tall. The plant's about 5 feet tall. Right now, because we've got so much daylight, the plants are growing really fast. So you notice the days have gotten longer. You know, it doesn't get dark till 8 o'clock now. The plants love it. They love the extra daylight. So this plant, in the last 3 days, has grown about 6 inches. So what we do is we're growing these plants so fast we have to grow them and attach them to a string, otherwise they'll fall over. These are tomatoes. You can actually see some tomatoes on here. So as the plant grows, it produces flowers. The flowers, the bees you see flying around every once in a while, will pollinate the flower. After that, the tomato starts to form. These tomatoes will be ready to eat in about 4 to 6 weeks after they form on the plant. So when we grow our plants in the greenhouse, we don't like a lot of moisture. We only give the plant as much water as it needs. So we have a special watering system for the plants. It's on automatic timers, and it comes on once a day, and it drips water down these little tubes. This tube actually waters and feeds the plant at the same time. So it'll run for about 30 minutes, just dripping water into the soil, and that's enough water for the plant. And the plant will take the water all the way up to the tomatoes, and that's what's going to make the tomatoes grow. We have plants from A to Z, vegetable plants from A to Z. These are artichokes. Can you guys figure out one that begins with a Z? If you want to play a game, try to name a vegetable that begins with every letter in the alphabet. So start with A and end with Z. So artichoke is A, zucchini is Z. Can you name the ones in between? This is something cool you guys could grow at home. These are actually flats of radishes. It's a really quick crop. It only takes like 21 days to 28 days, depends on the type of radish. There's 50 radishes in this one box, and there's a baby radish started. So in 2 weeks, this radish will be ready to eat. So in the greenhouse, when we seed our seeds down, we use special soils. The soil is made up of peat moss, vermiculite, and perlite. It's really fine grind. It's really soft. The vermiculite and the perlite are in there so the water doesn't stay in the soil completely. You don't want the soil to get hard, so you want the soil to be soft. Then the little white things do that. They're found in nature. Vermiculite's found in nature. It's a natural substance. So we fill up the flats with soil. Then we take our handy dandy Dibbling Tool. This makes the holes for us. Otherwise, we'd have to poke 128 holes with our finger. So this does it for us. These are actually yellow squash seeds. So each one of these little seeds will produce a big squash plant. And off of that plant, you'll get about 8 squash, maybe more. So what we do is we put the squash in the holes that we made. And after we did the whole tray, we take and we put a little bit of dirt over the top, a little bit of soil, just to cover them up. Then we take our hose and we wet it. What does it take for a seed to start growing? What makes it come alive? It's in a dormant stage when you plant it, so it's just kind of sleeping. So when you stick it in the soil will start to warm up because we're inside the greenhouse, and the greenhouse is getting nice and warm. Today it's about 75 in the greenhouse. So the soil temperature starts to warm up. We watered it in so we keep it moist. So the heat and the water tells that seed to wake up and start growing. So you can see these seeds are just starting to grow. It takes about 7 days for a squash seed to wake up and grow out of the ground so you can start to see it. And so these seeds are 2 weeks old, a little over 2 weeks old. You can see the seed where it actually started to grow, the seed is still attached to it. The plant actually came out of the seed, and see there's nothing inside it anymore. So the seed grew the plant. The plant burst out of the seed to grow. So this is garlic. This was planted last fall. We planted this the end of October, beginning of November. It overwinters in the ground, produces there's a little corm that's in the ground, starts to develop roots. In the springtime, the green will start coming through. Probably within a month, we'll start to see the garlic scape come out, which will actually be the flower of the plant, which is very edible. And we'll harvest this sometime mid-July to August. We'll have big bulbs of garlic. This is actually white Russian garlic. This is our transplanter. Julia and Jack are on the back transplanting. So what that means is, once the plants come out of the greenhouse, they've grown into plugs, and this is a plug. This is actually a cabbage. So what the transplanters do is they put them in the field, they space them out. These are spaced out 14 inches in the row and about 4 feet between the rows. When this cabbage is fully grown, they'll actually be touching each other. It'll be a solid wall of cabbage here. It'll be about this wide. The reason we space them out is you need airflow. If they're planted too close together, they're more susceptible to diseases. They might rot. They won't grow up as to be nice cabbages. So we space them out.